loud, guys. Oh, stop it. Look, I already know what all of you are thinking. Wow, Rachel, your outfit looks so good and professional. Like, you know what you're talking about. I should probably take notes or something because you're so smart. And to that I say, that's exactly what I wanted you to think. You see, people use clothing as a form of expression all the time. That's just embedded in our society. If I were to go to a funeral wearing a bright yellow t-shirt with a big smiley face on it, I would be giving off really sketchy vibes. So obviously, clothing is a very easy way to express how you're feeling, what kind of person you are, all of those things. However, some people believe that this form of expression can be compromised to solve various issues. Many school systems, like mine, implement uniforms as a preventative for violence and bullying, as well as just a way to boost school morale. However, some students and parents would agree that uniform policies are unnecessary due to the restrictions they put on students. Although uniform policies are implemented as an attempt to better education, the restricting of what students can and can't wear is ultimately harmful because it is a financial burden on many families, it opens doors to discrimination, and it sets a negative precedent for what other rules can be made. To understand how uniforms do more harm than good, we need to consider the good. Now, I will admit, I've always enjoyed not having to choose what I have to wear every morning to go to school. But some people give even greater reasoning for this. Angela Walmsley, a teacher in Great Britain, has seen great success with her students who wear uniforms. She claims that almost every school in the United Kingdom implements uniforms, and they all agree that their students are more respectable to themselves and their peers. Some even claim that uniforms prevent bullying, especially to those who can't afford nice clothing. Although some believe that uniforms are beneficial to students living in poverty, this is ultimately contradicted just by the simple act of buying them. I mean, especially during the back-to-school shopping season when everything is overpriced. And think about it, we already have to buy so many other things for education. For example, Dave Grunland, a political cartoonist, illustrates this by depicting students surrounded by absurd prices like 25 cents to flush the toilet. And this is absurd, but honestly, it's not that far off from what many schools already experience. Think about it. A lot of school systems that do implement uniform policies have a single day out of the week where you can pay money to wear what you want for a day. So sure, it may stop students from making fun of kids who don't own designer clothing, but at the end of the day, it just forces families to spend more. Along with being a financial burden, uniforms also open doors to discrimination. According to CNN Wire, just one example of this occurred at Massachusetts Mystic Valley Charter School when a student was punished for wearing a hijab because it wasn't up to the uniform policy. And what makes this even worse is the fact that her sister 10 years earlier experienced the same issue. The student and her family called this act racist and discriminatory. And this is just one example of the reason why uniforms, which can easily be twisted into something bad, completely outweigh the good. Uniforms also set a negative precedent for what can and can't be tolerated. In the historical court case Tinker versus Des Moines, students who were protesting the Vietnam War by wearing black armbands got in trouble and told that they would be suspended. This went to court, of course, and it was decided that First Amendment rights, in light of the special characteristics of the school environment, are available to teachers and students. So basically, as long as you're not doing anything to disrupt the natural flow of your environment, you should be entitled to all of your rights. Although some schools implement uniform policies as a preventative for bullying or as a way to raise school spirit, they're ultimately not the perfect solution to these issues because they're costly, they open doors to discrimination, and they create rules which will set potentially harmful precedents. Now, of course, we all have to deal with regulation and rules that we don't necessarily agree with, but it's also important to be able to recognize when something is unfair and speak out about it. Now, I can't change the uniform policy, but I can give my advice on something to keep in mind when creating rules and regulation. I encourage others to find the root of a problem so there's less of a need for restriction in the first place. If a school system is dealing with students bullying each other for what they wear, then the focus should be on that student to teach them about morals, cultures, and different backgrounds. If a school system is struggling with low morale in their classroom, then the focus should be on those students and what they don't like and what's wrong and how can we fix it. If there's one thing to take away from this, it's that regulation is important, but it can become suffocating when used as a blanket to quickly cover the surface of issues that are present.